welcome to YarnGasm. I'm Kristen and this is episode 227. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you are a new viewer, thanks so much for checking out the podcast. Just a little disclaimer, this is not the usual format of the podcast. If you would like to get a better idea of how episodes usually go, you might want to backtrack an episode or two. Because here I am going to be sharing with you my trip to Edinburgh. The Edinburgh Yarn Festival happened this past weekend, and I have a lot to share with you guys. I have a haul, I have video, I have lots of stuff to talk about. So I was kind of hoping to, I had originally hoped to vlog my trip there, but honestly there was just so much going on. We did so many things, met up with so many people. Looking back at all the footage and photos that I took, it was basically just a lot of bits and bobs, clips without much commentary, so it didn't really create a cohesive storyline, if you will. So I thought that I would just pop it into an episode, make it a special episode, if you will, with a little intro, just giving you guys a quick recap of what we did, what we saw, and then sharing the video, and then sharing my haul, which I have sitting right next to me right now. So the festival itself was awesome. Again, it's compared to if you're only familiar with Rhinebeck, where Rhinebeck is again outdoors. This was all indoors, which was great because it happened to be a pretty rainy day that day. But it was still big enough. It was at the Corn Exchange. So if I had to liken the Corn Exchange to something here in New York, I would say it's kind of like Chelsea Piers, where it's just like this big complex of, event spaces, mainly sports. So, there was like a lot of rugby tents and, whatever. And then they had the Corn Exchange where they had the festival. So there was so much, I wish I had a second day to go back because there was so much territory to cover in the festival. But immediately I had a whole list of booths that I wanted to visit, and number one was Lauy and Amy. I wanted to hit up Blacker Yarns. I wanted to hit up, goodness, what was the other one? Fiber Company, Fiber Co is there. And so I will share, I will talk more about that in the haul. But it was just so awesome getting to hang out with, first of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much to everybody who came up and said hello to me, and it was so wonderful just getting to chat with you and put faces to names, because it's interesting. A lot of people who, will come up to me like, hi, blah, 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 and I won't put two and two together until they tell me their Instagram name. And suddenly I'm like, oh my gosh, it's you. And then I will say, it's always surreal when that happens. So, but it was just so wonderful getting to chat with podcast viewers and fans. And I'm so glad that I did go to the podcaster meetup or the podcaster lounge. I wasn't going to do it because I will be honest, I was a little intimidated. Podcaster meetups always intimidate me in general, but I'm honestly just so glad I did because everyone was just so warm and welcoming, and it was awesome. So without further ado, here's a little montage of my trip, and I'll meet you on the other side where I will share with you my yarn haul. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Gilly-doo.
And we have just finished a
Beautiful dinner.
Three-course
meal. Yes, one-course meal.
And we have Shamika from Mika Mika Mix.
No! Midnight with Mika Mika.
Midnight with Mika Mika now. We now have and we have Scandir.
Or Ellie.
Ellie. And we're having a good time. We're having a blast.
Yes.
And the band is ready to start.
Daily time.
We cannot be more excited.
Exactly. Super soon. Time for another round of drinks too.
Yeah, I think so.
Big time joy.
I don't know where to start. I really don't. Welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed that little video montage. As you can see, yeah, we did cover a lot of territory. We did manage to see a lot of things. And yes, as you can gather, we were in a car. We did rent a car, and Dennis had to adjust his driving skills so that he could drive. He learned to drive on get used to driving on the other side of the road, because here in the States, we drive on the left-hand side of the vehicle, on the left-hand side of the road. But yeah, we did manage to get out of the city and see a lot of nature and just, yeah, enjoy the scenery, and so glad we made that decision. I feel like, you know, when you granted, you have to be your own tour guide when you do those type of things generally. I mean, probably the easiest thing to do is just, you know, get on a bus and have a guided tour, but I feel like you only get to see so many things, and I kind of like, both Dennis and I really enjoy the aspect of just being our own tour guides and going on our own schedule and, you know, coming and going as we please, basically. So it worked out for us. And yeah, we did have a data plan. So on our phones, if we had a question about something, we could just Google it or, you know, look into it. So that was handy. But yeah, I have quite the haul to share with you. Granted, compared to others on Instagram, it does not quite compare. Some of these hauls put my baby haul to shame, but still my haul is tiny but mighty and love everything that I've purchased. And yes, so without further ado, so the first day that we got to Edinburgh, we were wandering around the city and stumbled upon an LYS, and you've probably heard about this yarn shop. It's called Kathy's Knits, and we just happened upon it by accident. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a yarn shop. So of course we had to go in, and Dennis was the trooper that he was. I will say, Dennis held it together very well, given all the yarny adventures that we went on. I thought he was going to lose it after a certain point, you know, with all the yarn talk and yarn things that we were doing, but he held himself together very well, and I think the driving and the nature made up for a lot of that. So it was definitely a balance, if you will. So, but anyway, we hit up Kathy's Knits, and I met Kathy, who is a wonderful shop owner, super nice. And her shop, I will say, is the place to be if you love Jameson and you love all things sheepy and natural, and just you go in there and she is like the source for Jameson wool, for blacker yarns, and all things local. And, you know, I didn't tell her I had a podcast or anything, but we got into chatting, and, you know, so super lovely lady. And I will say, I wanted to buy yarn from there, but, you know, when you're presented with all that Jameson, all those color options, one thing crosses your mind and you're just like, color work project, color work, color work, color work. And I did not have a project in mind, and I was just felt a little intimidated, so I didn't know where to begin. And she's basically said, you know, well, if you're not gonna buy yarn, can I introduce you to this lovely book right here? And I just flip through it. This is the Book of Haps by Kate Davies Designs. This is not her latest book. This is her the one before the one she just released. And just one flip through this and I was sold. I don't know why I never really happened upon this book before. I mean, I've heard of it, but it never dawned on me to like look into it or read through it. Because I will say I'm not really a book person when it comes to patterns and knitting, but then there are just like those books that you look at and you read through and you're just like, this is a must-have. And I was just flipping through it and I'm like, this is an essential book that I need right now. So and it's basically just, I will say, just a brief overview of it. It's a compilation of patterns by various knitwear designers inspired by the Hap shawl. And without giving too much away, she gives you like a very thorough history. You have all these vintage photos just showing the process of knitting Hap shawls and blocking them, and oh God, I love this type of stuff. This is like a legitimate Victorian photo of a Hap shawl being modeled by a mannequin. And it gives me chills, like looking at all these photos. And she basically just dives into the history of the Hap, and then you have all these beautiful patterns by, again, various knitwear designers. She has some by, I believe, let me see. There's several in here that I liked. Vera Valmaki has some patterns in here. Bristol Ivy. Here's one by Martina Bem, which is beautiful. And then, let me see. I love this one by Vera Valmaki. I could totally see myself wearing one of these. It's just absolutely beautiful. And the photos are absolutely stunning, and, you know, just so in depth and so, yeah, this is a must-have, I will say. And I was hoping to meet Kate Davies at the festival. She was doing book signings. Did not happen. I did not see her, unfortunately. I think she was only there on Friday, or if she was, I just totally missed her at the festival. But definitely worthwhile. Definitely a must-have for your knitting book collection. So there's that. And then again, the first day I ran into a John Lewis. There was a John Lewis there, and I had to go in. You know, having watching Katie's podcast, she always shops at John Lewis for their yarns and patterns and fabric. And I had obviously been to John Lewis in the past before, you know, having gone to London. But I was just like, all right, I have to check out their yarn selection, because I had no idea that they sold yarn until I had watched Katie's podcast. And so, and if you're curious, if you're in the States and you have no idea what John Lewis is, I would kind of liken it to Target. but way better quality. So it's a lot of Target meets Home Goods. So they have like they have everything there, but they also have a crafting floor, crafting department where they have yarn, they have fabric, they have patterns, sewing machines. It's wonderful. So looking around there, I stumbled upon this little nugget right here. How beautiful is that? It's Eric and Knight for John Lewis. It's Aran weight, 100% wool, made in Britain, in the plum colorway. So clearly it just goes without saying this had to come home with me. But I actually cleaned them out because it's Aran weight. I wanted to make a sweater. I need memory yarn and I need a memory garment from Edinburgh. So I cleaned out the shelf. I bought 5 skeins. I have no idea if that's going to be enough to make a sweater. I think, you know, maybe just like a cropped sweater or, you know, 1/4-inch sleeve something. But yeah, it's 100 grams of approximately 160 meters, which I believe is should be ballpark 200 yards. I could be mistaken, maybe more or less. So I think I could make something of it, a full sweater. I should be able to. So there's that. And then we have, that was what I got outside of the festival. Inside of the festival, I had made a beeline to Lauy and Amy because that was at the top of my list. And I first heard about Lauy and Amy through a podcast viewer who had knit. She partook in the exploration station knit along that I co-hosted Lara from Jinx Yarns and the Dyer's Notebook podcast, and she knit her exploration station entirely out of Lauy and Amy. So I fell in love with the yarn. I was like, I have to get my hands on this. And as soon as I found out, you know, I could purchase it online, I think, but you know, there's shipping involved. And as soon as I found out that we were going to Edinburgh, I was like, that's where I'm going. And this was a small booth, you guys, so it was mobbed. It was just, I must have waited behind this one woman. There's just two long tables of yarn, and this one woman was just taking her time, making her decisions, and I was just like looking over her shoulder trying to get to the yarn that I was trying to get to. And anyway, totally worth the wait. Here's one skein that I purchased. So I purchased 2 skeins, but here's the first one. Totally in my comfort zone. It's just natural with black and blue speckles and very light lavender speckles. And this one is called, it's her Merino Singles, 366 meters, 400 yards, 100 grams, and it's her Gateway Purple colorway. And here's her logo, if you're curious to see what that looks like. There you go. So cute. And then the second colorway, totally out of my comfort zone, but I fell in love with the name and I wanted something a little different. So this came home with me. And the colorway name is Pom Pom. I thought that was just so adorable. And you know, again, the colorway totally not my speed, but it was just so fun and it made me smile, so it came home with me. And I saw a pairing of this colorway with kind of like a golden, like semi-solid, and I almost purchased it, but I knew I had a skein of Hedgehog at home in the pollen colorway. So I think knowing that, I was just like, okay, I can just combine those 2 yarns and make something out of it. Granted, while this was similar to the other colorway by Lauy and Amy, you know, this one might be a little bit brighter and deeper. I still love the way they look together, and this is going to be a project of some kind. I have no idea what, but it will be. So yeah, there was Lauy and Amy. And then I hit up the Eden Cottage Yarns booth. And again, something about golden colorways, I don't know what it is. Normally I am not a yellow toned person, or like yellow toned person. Normally I don't gravitate towards yellow tones, but for some reason these days I just gravitate towards like this type of yellow where it's slightly muted, slightly green undertones, and just like, I can't describe it, it's just beautiful. But yeah, Eden Cottage Yarns I've heard so much about. I think on KT's podcast and Danny from the Little Bobbins podcast, I believe they knit a lot of Eden Cottage Yarns, and of course I had to make a beeline there as well, and these colorways just spoke to me. And I love their logo. Let's see if I can show that a little clearer. How cute is that? So this is their BFL stock in the Marigold colorway and the Cottage Originals colorway, which has slight hints of mauve to it, and it's 100% blue face luster wool, 100 grams, 400 meters, 436 yards, and this just wants to be a project together as well. And I'm not sure which pattern, but I think it wants to be a Helen Stewart pattern. I don't know. It might just have to become something. It wants to be a Helen Stewart pattern, let's just face it. But anyway, so yeah, there's that. And then what else did I get? This, I think, has to be my favorite purchase from Edinburgh Yarn Festival, because it was a new to me yarn. I had never heard of it, and as soon as I saw it lying out on the table, I was like, it has to come home with me. I'm not even gonna think twice about it. And I know I mentioned earlier that, you know, when it comes to choosing a, you know, like colorwork palette colorways for a colorwork project, sorry, there's a plow going through. So as I mentioned earlier about choosing colorways for a colorwork project, you know, normally, you know, given the time that I have there, I don't have time to pull out all the colorways and, you know, make a colorway combination. This was already, it was like predestined. I don't know, it was just lying there on the table together. It was a made decision, and I was just like, you guys are coming home with me. So it is kind of like a gradient of sorts, but yeah, this one had my number, and then these guys just kind of followed it home, you know. So and the yarn is, again, as I mentioned, it's a new to me brand. It's Tukuwool, and it's fingering 100% Finnish wool. So it's from Finland, and this is, let me see, it's approximately 195 meters. So I'm assuming about maybe 225 yards, I'm guessing. But here's their logo, and yeah, again, it's a new to me brand, and I will say the price point was very reasonable. You know, for, you know, 195 meters, each skein was maybe about 7 or 8 pounds, I believe. So, you know, of course it made sense for me to get more than one. So yeah, very happy with this purchase. I have no idea what I'm going to knit with it, but yeah, it wanted to come home with me. So very happy with that. Yeah, so that was that. And then, as I mentioned, I ended up going to the podcaster meetup, and lo and behold, I had ran into, or we'd chatted before, but Magdalena from the Wulf and Schaefer podcast was there, and I love Magdalena. Like, if you think she's awesome on her podcast in person, she's even more. She's like super genuine and super funny and just the best personality. And I was just so happy that, you know, we were able to meet up and chat for a little bit. And she so kindly and generously gave me a gift of yarn, her hand-dyed yarn. She gave me 2 skeins, which is crazy. Magdalena, you're nuts, but in a good way. Thank you. But here is her logo. And again, she has the Wulf and Schaefer podcast, which you should totally check out. But she gave me this one lovely, beautiful, super soft skein. This is her, let me see, her dew base in the berry double cream colorway, and it has 70% alpaca and 30% mulberry silk. And you guys, this is absolutely beautiful. And she does like these really beautiful colorways that are just so subtle, but different. It's almost like a watercolor painting, I want to say, but this is absolutely beautiful. And then she also gave me a skein of this one, which is really cool. I love it. It's on her Loikos DK base in the Rusalka colorway. And it's 100% superwash blue face luster, and it's 100 grams, 225 yards, 233 meters. So super pretty. You do too much, Magdalena. So there's that. And then she also gave me a couple of mini skeins, or one mini skein in this colorway for my crochet granny stripe blanket. Yay! And this is, I'm not sure what base, oh, her paw base in All Saints Day. So it's just a really lovely, like, natural with muted, I don't know if you can see that, like a mute, like it's all the colors in there, but just like a very subtle rainbow effect. It's really pretty. And then she gave me some tea and chocolate, which are pretty much spoken for. There are only very few chocolates left, and yeah, the tea is delicious. So thank you so much, Magdalena. It was so wonderful meeting you, and yeah, I really wish we had more time to spend together and chat, and hey, you know, another excuse to come back again and visit. So, and you totally have to come to Rhinebeck because it's awesome. But yeah, anyway, so there was that. I got to meet up with Magdalena, and I should also mention that as soon as Dennis and I, literally as soon as we stepped into the marketplace, a lovely lady, lovely viewer of the podcast came up to me. So sorry, I'm blanking on your name, but she is the maker behind Crafternoon Treats, and she gave me her card with a stitch marker. There you go. And you know, she dyes yarn, and let me see, she's also a knitter. Let me hang on, backtrack, Kristen. She's a crocheter, blogger, podcaster, indie dyer of natural British wool, and she gifted me this beautiful hand-dyed skein of her yarn. It's a mini skein, so this will be going into my crochet granny stripe blanket immediately. It's super beautiful and totally unexpected, and it was so lovely getting to chat with you and meet with you, and you know, just thank you. Totally took me by surprise, and it was just such a lovely gift to open. And yeah, definitely, sorry I'm blanking on your name right now, but you know, definitely check out her shop, Crafternoon Treats. I will post a link to this and everything. Again, I forgot to mention this at the top of the episode. Show notes can be found over at www.yarngasmpodcast.com. So I will post a link to her shop in the show notes, and everyone else that I talk about in this episode will be posted to the show notes on the blog. So there's that. But wait, that's not all, because also at the podcaster meetup, I got to meet the lovely and amazing Tracy Arnold of Nora George Yarns. She approached me and so kindly and sweetly gifted me this beautiful skein right here, and here's her logo. And again, Katie from Inside Number 23 raves about her yarn all the time, and you know, totally unexpected, she came up to me with her daughter and said hello and got into chatting, and then surprised me with this puppy right here, and it's absolutely beautiful. And it's her thistle base, 75% blue face luster. I'm starting to realize that blue face luster is very popular in the UK and Scotland and Europe. You know, it's wonderful. I love blue face luster. But yeah, 75% blue face luster, 25% nylon. And this is her exclusive colorway for the Edinburgh Yarn Festival 2017. It's gonna be very hard to cake this up and knit something with it, because I feel like it's just souvenir yarn. It's absolutely beautiful, just very like deep, like spring yellow greens with some red, I want to say red or rusty speckles, and these shocks of purple and, you know, like lavender. It's absolutely beautiful. Again, that I said for like the 80th time. So thank you so much, Tracy. This is absolutely beautiful, and I will cherish it forever. So until I decide to knit with it, because it's very tempting right now. But anyway, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody again for just coming up and saying hello, introducing yourselves. As always, I love meeting viewers. And you know, I know a couple of people said that they were, you know, shy and everything. You guys, I'm equally shy, so I know it might not come off as that, but I just genuinely, you know, appreciate you coming up and saying hello, letting me know that you watch the podcast, and it gives me the warm and fuzzies. So, and I hope, you know, I don't know if I'm gonna make it back next year to the festival. Who knows? Maybe I will. But you know, traveling takes a lot out of you, I will say. So I give kudos to anybody. I know many people travel from far away to come to Rhinebeck, and it always blows my mind. I'm like, wow, you came from there to come here? Like, that's insane. So, but yeah, I salute you, because I will say traveling takes a lot out of you. And I would love to go back, you know, obviously I would love to come back next year if it's possible, but we'll see. I'm playing it by ear at this point. You know, I will say this is the very first time that I've traveled anywhere to go to specifically a yarn festival, and I was so glad that that Dennis was able to come along with me, and that we were able to turn it into a mini vacation, because I had always wanted to visit Scotland. and you know, I finally had an excuse to, and you know, yeah, it was, you know, it was just, words cannot describe. It's definitely going down in the history books. It was a fun trip, and I still can't believe it's over. I'm still asking myself if it really happened, because just getting to hang out with my people, if you will, in a far off place was magical. That's the only way I could describe it. Pure magic. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up in one nutshell, I guess. You know, even this is the best way I know how to do that. I don't even know if that really captures everything, but yeah, just, I had an awesome time. So that said, I think I'm going to end the podcast here. Again, this is not the normal format of the podcast. I will be back next week with another regular podcast, or regular format. So yes, but just to give you a heads up, if you're curious about shop update, I'm not having a shop update next week, just trying to catch up with work. You know, we did get back on Monday night, and you know, I still have Yarn Club to dye, the second installment of our sock club. So that's happening this week, and those will go out next week. But I will be having another shop update on Friday, March 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I will have, I'm not sure what exactly will be in the shop, but I'm going to be working hard dyeing all those colorways that you have been requesting. There will be more Goth Day cake. I can tell you right now. There will be Outlander, as far as I know. I'm going to try and have some more Grimm and some other colorways, so it'll be a surprise. But yes, if you would like to keep up to date with what will be in the shop, definitely check out the website. I always list the colorways as I dye them that will be in that shop over at www.voolenvineyarns.com, and you can also subscribe to the newsletter, which I try to get out every week. Granted, I skipped a week because traveling, but yes, it's pretty much the best way to keep informed as far as what will be in the updates, when they will happen, etc., etc. So that said, no blather section this week, because I feel like I've been blathering way too much already. So anyway, that said, thank you so much for watching. Happy knitting, and I will see you next time. Bye. Ba-da-da.